is almost as though we have been dropped onto another planet. Thousands of miles south and 27 years removed from George Foreman's 1974 Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight championship of the world will again be contested on what the colonial era called the Dark Continent. And though the political darkness has been banished by the light of democracy, the fighters again ply their trade in the middle of the African night.
A special presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
It is almost as though we have been dropped onto another planet. Thousands of miles south and 27 years removed from George Foreman's 1974 Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali, the heavyweight championship of the world will again be contested on what the colonial era called the Dark Continent. And though the political darkness has been banished by the light of democracy, the fighters again ply their trade in the middle of the African night. While the quiet streets of suburban Johannesburg lie still in the light of the moon, while those still dispossessed by a history of exploitation dream of a better future, while the street corner foot soldiers of a new South African economy scurry toward their places in the rising sun, while on every front the children of a traditional society scramble to adjust their outsized wealth of resources to a world that still moves too fast for them, American millionaire Hasim Rahman will enter a casino arena to face British multimillionaire Lennox Lewis for his undisputed heavyweight crown. It is an event from another world, brought here to honor the world that South Africa hopes to someday become.
Believe it or not, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and we are live tonight from Carnival City, South Africa. HBO Sports has ventured to Africa to bring you Lennox Lewis against Hasim Rahman for the heavyweight championship of the world. And before that, a junior featherweight title bout between South African belt holder Legenola Ledwaba and Mexican challenger Carlos Contreras. We are in an unusual casino that looks more like a circus, where a 5,000-seat arena plays pre-dawn host to the second occasion on which the continent of Africa has hosted a battle for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. The first, of course, 27 years ago when our George Foreman defended his title thousands of miles north of here in Zaire. What a privilege it is for us to be here amid the most exciting, the most terrifying, the most inspiring socio-political experiment to be found on the planet for this event. It is, of course, impossible to cover the event without reference to the extraordinary landscape on which it takes place. Hello, I'm Jim Lampley. With an eye toward that later on in the broadcast, we will play for you a remarkable conversation that took place yesterday between our Larry Merchant and the legendary Nelson Mandela. But in the meantime, it has been both a poignant and provocative week as Lennox Lewis and Hasim Rahman have gotten to know South Africa, and South Africa has gotten to know them. Let's take a look.
A defense of the heavyweight crown is never without hype and fanfare, but rarely is that world championship contested on a true global stage. Lennox Lewis has brought to South Africa the biggest international sports event in its history, and if the build-up to tonight suggests anything, it is that South Africa will enjoy this rare moment in the sun. The challenger, Hasim Rahman, was the first to feel the excitement his mere presence generates.
Well, what makes me feel good about this trip is that just, you know, they treat you so nice. I mean, people around the world can take a lesson from these South Africans.
Rahman, looking to gain whatever small advantage he might, arrived nearly a full month prior to the fight to become accustomed to the altitude. Johannesburg sits more than a mile above sea level. This proves a smart move on Rahman's behalf, because by his own admission, his early workouts are sluggish. Coupled with the altitude, he must train to fight at 4 a.m. At this point, Lewis was not scheduled to arrive in Johannesburg until April 9, and the local papers were already asking if his late arrival would have a negative effect. Lewis dismissed this notion at a news conference while still in Las Vegas.
I know he's over in Africa trying to steal my thunder right now, but when I come over there, it's going to be a different story. And I'm definitely prepared. I even took a couple days out to do a movie.
Lennox finally arrived on April 10, only 12 days prior to the fight. He didn't do much to soothe the already sensitive local media either, showing up over 90 minutes late to his first news conference in South Africa. Lewis's casual approach to punctuality was quickly forgotten when that same evening 43 South African soccer fans were killed during a match at Ellis Park in Johannesburg. The nation mourned, and the world champion mourned with them. Lewis and his camp attended the memorial service. He was inspired by what he saw.
But you know, one thing that really took the sting out of it was the South African singing that was really spiritual to me, really deep and heart-driven.
Even though Lewis took time out to extend goodwill to those in need, he knew his greatest responsibility was to focus on the task at hand. And he did just that, looking sharp during his public sparring sessions and making bold predictions about how the fight would unfold.
Because I'm looking to knock him out in the early rounds anyway, so all this climatized thing that they're talking about, it's gonna be to no avail anyway.
For weeks, boxing media speculated Rahman's chances escalated against an overweight Lewis distracted by his April 6 movie shoot back in Vegas. But the 253 pounds Lewis brought to yesterday's official weigh-in were well within range.
The main thing is I believe both of us come to fight. Both of us believe we're going to win this fight. So we definitely going to fight. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of running. I don't believe it's going to be a whole lot of holding. I believe that both of us are going to try to exploit our weapon. And the best man going to win.
I sent out word that I want my warriors to be beating the drums for me and everybody to be singing for me. So I know there's going to be a lot of thrill in the air. And, you know, this fight's called Thunder in Africa, but they don't know that I'm bringing thunder plus a little lightning just to top it all off.
And we bring you back live to ringside with HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Both fighters seem very comfortable with their circumstances leading into the fight. You, on the other hand, seem comfortable in the wake of your whirlwind trip to Mozambique yesterday to talk to Nelson Mandela. What most surprised you about the great man?
The depth of his knowledge about boxing. It was sort of like interviewing Abe Lincoln about rail splitting. Mr. President, do you prefer a long-handled axe or a short-handled axe? Many people don't know that Nelson Mandela, the father of modern South Africa, was an amateur boxer and remains a very avid fan. How does this remarkable figure who advocated nonviolence reconcile that with his love of our violent game? Stay tuned for that and more.
We'll show you the interview after our preliminary bout and before Lewis and Rahman enter the ring. Meanwhile, of course, this is a homecoming of sorts for George Foreman, and George Mandela spoke to Larry Merchant about the excitement of having the undisputed heavyweight championship contested again on the African continent 27 years after your rumble in the jungle. How does it feel for you to be back?
Look, it's been a wonderful trip. The people have an inspiring feeling about welcome home, welcome to Africa, that kind of thing. I love it. There's a lot of jobs around there. They're building new homes, got the best highways you would ever see, second to California, I think.
You're going to apply for a job?
I'm going to stick with Larry.
All right, before we show you Lewis against Rahman, we're going to see a star South African fighter fighting in the junior featherweight class. 122-pound star Lishanolo Ledwaba gets ready to defend his title against Carlos Contreras of Mexico. And here's a look at the tail of the tape for the 222-pound fighters. Ledwaba, 5 years older at 29, hoping to beat Contreras and move on toward bigger fights against bigger named opponents in the division. They're equal in height, a 1-inch reach advantage for Ledwaba. They both weighed in under the 122-pound limit. Unofficially, according to our HBO scales, they put on about 10 pounds apiece as they get ready to move into the ring tonight. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Leisha Hanolo Ledwaba Carlos Contreras fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the universal rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
As you watch tonight, you can log on to hbo.com/boxing for live trainer audio. You can choose which trainer and cornerman you want to listen to. Also, CompuBox Punch-Stat numbers and an open chat room to talk with fellow boxing fans as the fights take place. In the ring, Leisha Hanolo Ledwaba, incidentally. The name looks like Lelo Hanolo Ledwaba, and his tribal interpreter, speaking the Tutu language, told us it should be pronounced Leisha Hanolo, even though we don't see an S in there. So we go with him. 32 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 22 by knockout, hasn't lost a fight in 7 years. And across the ring from him, from Juarez, Mexico, Carlos Contreras, stablemate of 154-pound fighter Quirino Garcia, and also of Ranchero Ramirez, who lost a big upset on the undercard of Prince Naseem Hamed versus Marco Antonio Barrera 2 weeks ago. First title fight for Contreras. He had some rough spots in the middle of his career, but has been a winner in 6 of his last 7 bouts. The most recent one was a technical draw, stopped on a headbutt. Now let's go to ring announcer Duncan Pollock for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Carnival City Casino's Big Top Arena. This is the first of 2 title fights scheduled for the card this morning, and it is brought to you by Golden Gloves in association with Cedric Kushner Promotions and Budweiser, the undisputed, undefeated king of beer. Ladies and gentlemen, this IBF Junior Featherweight contest is scheduled for 12 rounds. Our IBF fight supervisor from New Jersey in the United States, Albert Lucas. Our judges from Kent in England, Mr. Roy Francis. From New York, New Jersey in the United States, Larry Hazard Jr. And from East London in South Africa, Mr. Lulama Mja. Ladies and gentlemen, our referee officiating his 33rd world title fight from Detroit, Michigan in the United States, Mr. Sam Williams. We'll get to the principals. Introducing out of the blue corner on my right, the challenger. He weighed in at 54.89 kilograms, 121 pounds. His record is 17 wins, 4 losses and 2 draws, 12 wins by way of knockout. He's in the burgundy trunks with gold trim from Ciudad Juarez in Mexico. Please welcome Carlos Ferruz Contreras. Introducing the champion. At 55.23 kilograms, 121 3/4 pounds. His record at 32 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, 22 wins by way of knockout. He's in the white trunks with gold and navy trim. He is the former WBU Bantamweight champion, voted South Africa's Boxer of the Year for 2000, and rated by many as the best pound-for-pound boxer in the nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the IBF Junior Featherweight Champion of the World from Soweto, South Africa, Ledwaba, hands on stone, Ledwaba.
All right, gentlemen, let's have a good one. I want you right your head blows, your kidney punches your low. Oh, and Mike, in case of a knockdown, I'll send you to the furthest neutral corner. Remain there until I send for you. On my command to break, take a full step back. Put your hands up. Protect yourself at all times. Good luck, man.
Contreras told us that he was inspired by Barrera's defeat of Hamed in this weight in the featherweight class, proving once again how dominant Mexican fighters have been in the lower weight divisions. It would even be a bigger upset if he were to beat Ledwaba, who is regarded as an outstanding fighter.
And particularly if he were to beat him in mile-high Johannesburg, South Africa, after the long trip over here from Mexico. Contreras came over from Juarez less than 2 weeks ago, and he says, I'm fine. Feels just like home to me. Round one, Ledwaba against Contreras. The bell rings, and both fighters seem to wonder if that was really the start of the fight, but here they go. Two conventional fighters and a tactical first 15 seconds as they size each other up. Carlos Contreras told us, I looked at no videotape. I don't know anything about him. I'll learn in the first round. That's fine with me.
The biggest adversary will be the time of night or morning this fight is happening.
Yeah.
And it takes a clock to wake you up on time, and it's not just the old alarm clock. One in the body that needs to go off.
Both Lennox Lewis and Hasim Rahman have been doing their training at 4 o'clock in the morning, George. Do you suspect the fighters on the undercard had a chance to do the same thing?
You can do all the training you want, but there's a body that has naps naturally.
Gotcha. If you spend 29 years getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 2 weeks of fighting at 4 isn't going to acclimate you, right? We've seen some pretty lively bouts on the undercard, despite the odd hour. Wasn't it about this same time of the morning when you fought Muhammad Ali, George?
I knew you were going to bring that up. No fair. He was on the rope, and should I quit? Okay.
Well, we've gone far enough, George.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to know if it was the same time of day.
About the same time of day or night. Both fighters seems to be trying to feel one another out, playing the counterpuncher tonight. That's the worst thing for a matchmaker. Make a good match and end up with two counterpunchers.
You were hearing for a moment there corner audio between rounds, during rounds, as both Contreras' trainer and Ledwaba's trainer were shouting instructions to the fighters in the ring. And of course, you'll hear both trainers between rounds as they talk to their fighters in the corners.
All counterpunchers need to make you miss before they do anything. I got to duck first.
So if you don't throw,
nothing happens.
And that's what has been the case for much of the first round here. When we go to the corners, in Ledwaba's corner, where the tribal language of Tutu is used, our interpreter is Fulami Masibe. And in the corner of Contreras, where they speak Spanish, our interpreter is the familiar Ray Torres.
Relax, Ledwaba, relax. Just use your jab. Up and down, up and down. Just the left, up and down. Just the jab, up and down.
Okay, you need to put your head low and so you don't get butt. Put your head low. Keep your head low. And make sure you keep your hands up because you need to keep those gloves up. And throw the jab. Jab underneath.
Exceptionally low punch output in round one. By CompuBox estimation, Ledwaba threw 28 punches, landing 15, better than half. Contreras threw more, 43, but landed only 5. So Ledwaba by far the more accurate puncher in round one, according to CompuBox punch counters. Good left the body by Ledwaba. Now Ledwaba goes to the body with both hands, and Contreras counters upstairs. Uppercut.
Well, I guess both fighters saw the live tapes of each other in the first round and try to figure out what they want to do now.
Big right hand by Ledwaba. He follows with another right on the button. Ledwaba landing 2 clean right crosses.
Ledwaba's got excellent balance. He throws that right hand just like standing on a dime and comes right back with the hook.
You can just see class oozing from him. But Contreras will test him.
All of those punches that were landed on Contreras, and he hasn't backed up, nor has he decided to protect himself. He's coming in, bringing it forward.
Contreras looks good taking a punch, but in his 4 losses, 3 of them were by knockout. So he has been susceptible against punches. However, as we mentioned, he stepped way up in class recently, winning 6 of his last 7 against better opposition than the kinds of fighters who beat him earlier in his career. Another straight right hand lands perfectly for Ledwaba, and a right to the body.
Ledwaba, what he does is he uses an excellent left jab, throws combination, then he starts leading with his right hand, which really throws a fighter off.
What quickness by Ledwaba. A moment ago you saw him land the jab and immediately come back with the left hook.
He's got a fight in Contreras who's going to fight you back, so you better make sure you finish with your hands up. He's going to hit you back.
Another big right hand by Ledwaba. Contreras stepping right back in, as you say, George.
No, I mentioned he was using his left jab, then he deviates to a lead right hand. And that throws you off, and it hurts.
And the left hook. A lot of variety in Ledwaba's game.
The thing about landing those kind of combinations, if you don't knock a guy down and hurt him early on, he's going to disrespect you the whole fight.
Earlier this evening, a little more than a half hour ago, Hasim the Rock Rockman of Baltimore, Maryland, arriving at the arena. Looks a little sleepy, but as we mentioned, he's been doing all of his workouts at 4, and here's Lennox Lewis. Just 2 minutes after the Rock.
Which one will seize the moment? Which one will have the moment seize them?
You got to put a lot of pressure on him.
Tienes que presionar y adentro, presionar, dejarlo que se acomode. Le está boxeando con el jab.
Beautifully crafted fighter is Ledwaba. He comes from Soweto, the Black Township.
You went there, huh, Larry?
I was down there the other day, saw a gym that was donated by the great Evander Holyfield. It was a very interesting experience, inspiring in some ways, depressing in others.
Now Ledwaba finding some room to land a left hook uppercut. Kind of punch we've seen Oscar De La Hoya throw so many times in his career. An angled upward left hook. Another new weapon that Ledwaba flashes after a brilliant round 2 in which by CompuBox numbers, Ledwaba landed 47 of 95 punches.
And I'd like to know how many of those shots were to the body, because if you're going to just beat a guy in the head all night and not get a knockdown, he's not being worn out in the body. He's going to come back on the later rounds to hurt you. Must go to the body.
And there's Ledwaba throwing the right hand to the body. Contreras misses over the top.
Hand is free.
Already, CompuBox maestro Logan Hobson writes at the bottom of my note, Ledwaba versus Pereira. Wow. That's after only 2 rounds. But George Foreman making the point that Ledwaba's landed a lot early and Contreras is still right there.
You got to go to the body to take some of the wind out of your opponent. Otherwise, Contreras can get stronger and stronger. But you've thrown away a lot of your power hitting him on his hard head.
Double left hook to the body by Ledwaba. Contreras comes back with a right and a left of his own.
A good right by Contreras.
Well, the judge, the referee can be a spectator at this fight. They're just standing in the middle of the ring, trying everything they've learned in gymnasiums in 2 parts of the world, and they're both well-schooled fighters.
Sam Williams walking back and forth and getting a pretty good look at an excellent fight. Now Contreras lands his right cross. Contreras bunching his elbows against his body and now blocking some of Ledwaba's body shots. See if the South African star will go back upstairs, and he does with the uppercut twice.
Does a good job, Ledwaba, of mixing up his body shots, jab, lead right hand.
Doesn't he, though? Contreras more alive in round 3 than in the previous 2. Ledwaba still showing the variety in his game. If you missed it, catch a replay of this month's Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. Among the stories, a look at an issue everyone thinks about but few articulate. What is it like for white players playing in the predominantly black NBA? Also, we follow Michael and Darrell Waltrip of NASCAR as they soldier on in the aftermath of Dale Earnhardt's death. Real Sports, where nothing is out of bounds.
Don't stand in front of him. Give me that uppercut. Give me that left uppercut. Move side to side. Don't stand in front of him. Give him angles.
No matter what language it's in, the instructions are familiar, George. Zulu, Chinese, Mexican, American.
Same thing, huh?
Give them angles, move side to side, don't stand in front of them.
More imposing CompuBox numbers for Ledwaba in round 3. According to CompuBox, he landed 54 out of 101. Harold Letterman, you've scored it, I think, the way we all would.
Okay, Jim. 30-27, 3 rounds to nothing in favor of Ledwaba. Jim, to me, this kid looks like another Azuma Nelson. Very, very good variety of punches. He's winning his fight on effective aggressiveness, clean punching. He doubles up on his shots constantly. I mean, he doubles left uppercuts. Tremendous variety of punching. Carlos Contreras getting very, very puffy around both eyes.
Contreras should be advised, don't box with a boxer. Fight him. If you're going to do anything, just jump on him and throw shots until he decides to fight you back. But if you start this boxing game, he's going to jab you, lead right hand, uppercuts, all the things in the book he's going to do to you.
Because wherever the book is, Ledwaba has read it and has managed to get most of it totally distilled in his game.
You can't try to get them with the perfect shot. You fight a good boxer, just hit them with anything you can hit them with.
Now Contreras begins to crowd Ledwaba more.
He'll be more effective that way.
Get off his head, get off his head. Right.
That may be the first time Williams has said break in 3 rounds and 2 minutes.
There was a 5-punch combination that last salvo from Ledwaba.
Contreras able to make a miss with the right hand, though, and pounding with the left hook in the counter.
That Waba has a good right uppercut, but you can see does not like to throw it. Stay on him. Stay close to him. He may hit you with one or two, but he's not in love with that shot. Doesn't like throwing it off. Maybe he's hurt his hand a few times in doing it.
Maybe that's why his trainer has twice asked him to throw that punch.
Ooh, he went to the body good that time.